The trade deadline is coming fast, rumors are heating up, and the big question is simple. Who are the Bulls' real assets that the front office could look to choose to trade to put a direction at the trade deadline? We're talking about that. We're going to be ranking the Bulls' top 6 trade assets according to Elias Schuster, from draft picks to Coby White, Io Dosunmu. We're going to talk about them all, and we got major updates as regards to Billy Donovan and what exactly he's asking of Matas Buzelis after his benching in the last game, and Josh Giddey has been upgraded against the Clippers. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And I want to start off with this. The trade deadline is literally right around the corner. We're about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks away from the trade deadline, and while there's a lot of talk around the Chicago Bulls, we heard that there was pressure on the front office to pick a direction. We still are unsure of where that pressure is exactly coming from, which makes it kind of questionable on if there's really pressure or if there is just internal pressure. Has this front office finally reached the place where they're putting pressure on themselves to actually do their goddamn job, right? And so there's a lot of trade rumors and conversations and everything going on here. And while in yesterday's episode, we ranked some of the best players that the Bulls could go after, if they decide to punt on the expiring contracts and, actually go into free agency, we've also talked about some of the players that are available at the trade deadline. Let's talk about the assets that the Bulls really do have, right? What are the best assets that the Bulls have at their disposal? This is a mix of my own thoughts. This is also a mix of some of the rumors that we've heard around the Chicago Bulls team. And the first one that I want to say, right, and this is going to be surprising because, no, it's not Coby White. No, it's not Io Dosunmu. And it's not to say that I don't think that those guys are likely or unlikely to be moved. But I think when you look at the way that the conversation is going around the NBA, that depth pieces with years left on their deals are more valuable than expiring contracts. We had the same guy who, likes to leave comments and then not respond when he was like, I respectfully disagree. I think that expiring contracts still hold value. And then when I asked, well, okay, show me the last trade where expiring contracts got a big value back, other than the Tre Jones trade, which we kind of understood where that was. You just haven't seen a lot of that, not at the level that you used to see it at, right? So I think the trade, and I don't know if the Bulls really want to move these guys. This is not a ranking of most likely to be traded. This is a ranking of what probably holds some considerable value and the most value in the trade market. The first one I'm going to mention is Tre Jones. I think when you look at Tre Jones and the fact that he's on a flat rate, $8 million contract for the next 3 seasons with a team option in the third year, in 2 years from now, this is the first year of that deal. We're almost halfway through it. I think that Tre Jones offers some amazing, flexibility for a team. Because he can be your starter, right? You can start him. He's shown his ability to do that. He can come off the bench for you if you do get a better player as a starter or somebody ascends. And the contract of being a flat $8 million each of the next 2 seasons after this season, with the last year being a team option, meaning, hey, if you do need $8 million in flexibility and you're going after a bigger fish, you can just not pick up the option on Tre Jones's contract. What Tre Jones has done this year has shown the versatility that he has as a player. Over 53% shooting from the field, almost 6 assists per game, 12 points per game. He started, he's come off the bench. But one thing that's been there for Tre Jones the whole entire season is that he's been productive as a starter, right? He started 20 games for the Bulls. He's averaging 13 points on 52% shooting from the field, 39% shooting from 3. He takes less than 2 of them per game, but the percentage is there. 3.5 rebounds as being one of the smallest players on the court, 6.3 assists, and over a steal and a half per game, and only 1.6 turnovers per game. Tre Jones is one of the best bang for your buck values really in the NBA. And shout out to AK and Eversley for re-signing him for what they re-signed him for. I get it that you look at, the Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro trade is basically a wash. Lonzo isn't really even playing for the Cavs, but it also opened us up the flexibility to re-sign Tre Jones, and that was the part that really makes that over the top for that. So I think when you look at Tre Jones and what he can offer for the teams that need point guards around the league, he has some of the best value on the Chicago Bulls team. And much in the same vein of him is Jalen Smith, right? Jalen Smith, when you look at it, he is playing some of the best basketball of his NBA career, not just for the Bulls, of his whole entire career. He's always been a really good, as far as rebounds per minute guy, right? That's always kind of been there for him, is the rebounds per minute, but it's not just even the rebounds at this point in time anymore. He's averaging 9.4 points, almost 7 rebounds per game on 46% shooting from the field. He's doing all of that. But where Jalen Smith has been so much better for the Chicago Bulls at is the sense that as a starter, 12 points per game as a starter, 9.6 rebounds, 1.5 blocks per game, 1 steal per game, 1.4 assists per game, only 1 turnover per game, and shooting 48% from the field. Now, the 22% from three-point range is bad, but overall, like, he's not taking a bunch of them. He doesn't need to take a bunch of them because he's being productive in other ways. This kid, now that we have, and what I like about Jalen is that I think that you need to start Jalen. Even if Josh Giddey comes back, you move Matas to the 3. You're losing something defensively, but you're gaining so much rim protection with Jalen Smith and Matas Buzelis on the court. The Chicago Bulls, when they're on the court together, just in those minutes, the Chicago Bulls have the 3rd best block percentage in the NBA, and the rim defense takes a huge step up as well. So that's what you're looking to do. Isaac Okoro's on-ball defense is solid. It's really good at times, right, against certain opponents. But I think what you have in Jalen, in the two-way ability of him actually being a threat out there offensively, whereas Isaac Okoro, it comes and goes, I think Jalen has earned a spot to be the starting 4 here at the Chicago Bulls. But because of that, it also makes him one of the best trade assets for the Bulls. 1 year left on his deal at a little over $9 million next season. So the teams are getting him for an additional year after the season, which, again, we talked about the value of contracts that still have some time left on them, right? And that's the benefit for that Chicago Bulls. For any team that trades for Jalen, is that you have another year of cap controlled contract for Jalen Smith at $9.4 million. And you can look to extend him this offseason if you decide to do so, probably at a decent, reasonable number before he has another big season and garners even more money. So Jalen Smith is definitely a big one. The on-off says it all for him. When Jalen Smith is on the court, right, you look at the differential of plus 2.5, which is in the 95th percentile in the entirety of the NBA. The offense is 8.7 points per 100 possessions better while he's on the court. And the defense, we're giving up 3.8 points less per 100 possessions. There's just no doubt about it. At 25 years old, $9.4 million next season, Jalen Smith could be a hell of a steal for a team that needs some big man depth. And if you want to run a double big lineup, Jalen Smith has shown he can make double big lineups work. He can be the reason why double big lineups work for the Chicago Bulls. So Jalen Smith, he's the number 2 best asset for me on this list for the Chicago Bulls. Next up, draft picks. Why do I have draft picks up before Coby, before Io? It's simple. Because with the Bulls' cap flexibility that they have in this offseason, right, and the fact that they have so many expiring contracts, if a team is valuing the draft picks over the player back, the Bulls can match any contract with expiring contracts. And even if we do send Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, whoever it is, even if the team's like, okay, we really don't care about them, we want that 2031 underprotected first-round pick from you guys and a one in 2033, the Bulls can do that, right? The Bulls can have that because now they have all their own draft picks. It opens up back that flexibility. Now, the reason why this isn't higher on the list is because the Bulls need to be damn well certain that if you're trading draft picks and the draft picks are the focus of the trade, much like Nikola Vucevic, we traded Nikola Vucevic, the draft picks were the value. Wendell Carter was used basically as salary match, in which he still ended up being a starter for them for years. But if you end up doing that, the Bulls have the ability to send no long-term money for teams to be able to focus on draft picks. So if you're trading with the team, and I don't think we're going to get this player, but if you're trading for like a Michael Porter Jr., and the Nets are like, we really don't care about vets, we just don't want long-term money back, but run me those picks, you can do that. And that's tremendous flexibility for a team to be able to go out there, and not every team can match with almost pure. The Bulls can match any contract with pure expiring deals. And that means that the draft picks become the focus at that point in time. That's what makes this special. Of course, you have players that are expiring too, like Io and Coby, that you need to extend this offseason. But if teams don't care about the extensions and don't even want players they even want to consider to extend, the Bulls have the draft picks available, and that is one of the benefits of what we did in the Zach LaVine trade, getting the future flexibility of all our own first-round picks back and the Portland pick as well, where you can combine that with some other things, because that does look like it's probably going to convey sometime here within the next few years. That's what teams could value. So I think draft picks are also a huge benefit for the Bulls here if they decide. Now, this would be them being more buyers than sellers, but there is a possibility that they can do that. And with Portland also right now the 9th seed in the Western Conference, and Dame coming back next season, another year of development next season, and they got some other moves that they can make, I think that pick is probably going to convey before 2028, and then the Bulls can look to take advantage of that for sure. So the draft picks are the next one up. After that, Coby White. I mean, regardless of how you feel about Coby White or not, I do think his injuries has probably lessened the value a little bit. Teams may just want to wait it out in free agency because maybe they feel like with all the injuries, how much time he's missed, he's going to have to take a little bit off that $30 million asking price. But I still think Coby White, as a 20-point per game scorer, somebody that when you really look at his tenure with the Bulls, he's played so many different roles, and he's found a way to do it well and all, whether it's coming off the bench, playing with Zach, playing with DeMar, playing with Josh Giddey. He's adapted to a lot. And when you look at it as well, when you look at the win shares for Coby White, that's all legitimate as well. So it just really depends on how teams value Coby White and the scoring and playmaking that he does offer with the rebounding, all that type of stuff. We'll see. We'll see. I think that Coby White is a player that teams are going to call on. The question is, do the Bulls really want to move him? And then is that unprotected first-round pick too high of an asking price for somebody that has been as injured as what he's been this season? Our team's going to see the value in that, but I guess we shall see. Next up, Io Dosunmu. I mean, Io, he's going to make less than Coby just by the extension rules, but as a two-way player in this league on an expiring deal and looking at what he's doing, he's averaging 14.5 points per game, 3.6 assists, 2.6 rebounds, 51% shooting from the field as well. His three-point shooting efficiency has gone up from 32.8% to 45% on the exact same 4.1 attempts per game. Io Dosunmu has taken a step offensively. He has found a way to refine what he does because he doesn't get a whole lot of shot attempts, but he's found a way to make the most out of those shot attempts with still being a two-way player as well. Io Dosunmu is the type of player that every team needs. Every team wants a player like Io. That's part of the reason why I don't want to see the Bulls trade him, because I guarantee you, we trade Io Dosunmu, he's going to be one of those players that when we get good again, we're going to be like, we can use an Io Dosunmu. Much like the Bulls did with Kirk Hinrich. They moved Kirk Hinrich, then a year and a half later, they ended up having to bring him back because you need that type of player. I think Io Dosunmu can have that type of impact for the Bulls. That's also why he's a huge player for other teams. The big question becomes about that is, do teams want to just wait to free agency because they feel like they can outprice the Bulls? But with trading for him at the trade deadline, you get his bird rights. You can then go over the salary cap to retain him. And so there. And then the last one, Nikola Vucevic. And it's just as Vuce as an expiring contract at this point. Like, yeah, Vuce can still be a serviceable big man. I think if you have a team with better defense, especially perimeter defense, to where his drop coverage defense that he has to play is less hurtful for a team, maybe he can help you there. But, when it comes down to it, he's averaging some career lows across the board. He is averaging 17 points, 9.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists. He is still shooting the ball 50% from the field, which as a center, he should have, right? And he's hitting the three ball at a 36.7% clip, taking 5 of those per game. So, we'll see. We've seen the games. They've been here, right, where he still had big games for the Chicago Bulls, and teams could definitely look at that for him as well. But I still think that teams are probably going to be apt to wait to the free agency because they can probably get him for part of their mid-level exception. But as an expiring $21 million deal to combine with the draft picks like we talked about earlier, or, to get other value back, Vuce still holds some value, you would think, but the Bulls have been unable to trade him for 2 years, so I doubt they're going to be able to trade him now. So that's what I think. Let me know if you have any other players that you feel like are big assets at the trade deadline, or anything else that are big assets for the Bulls at the trade deadline, or another player that you would like to see moved. I want to hear from you guys on that one down below. But I want to get into this next quote from Billy Donovan, in which he talked about Matas. Matas, who was benched in the fourth quarter of the last game for the Chicago Bulls, he said this: for Matas, it's more a standard of his controllables. Are you putting a body on somebody to block out? Are you using your length and size where you're supposed to be if you're the low man and give a little bit of rim protection? Are you trying to put your body in plays? Are you trying to put your body in plays? He says it again. Those are the kind of things you need to do to take that next step as a player, right? Now, for what it's worth, Billy Donovan also, in critiques of Matas Buzelis, he also throws in things that he does well. He says this: when I coach him, I think it's from his vantage point. He wants to be told what he's got to do because I think coming in, and quite honestly, he had no idea what went into winning. None. He played on a team in the G League where they lost a lot and they're veterans to injuries. They were playing a lot of young guys, and I'm just trying to put on him the things that he can control that would impact winning regardless of whether he's making or missing shots. He's just he just kind of is able to move forward and take the information and figure out what he's got to do to get better and how he's got to get better, and I admire that about him. He's not a guy that buries his head when you're having to pick him up and say, hey, come on, hang in there. Everything is going to be okay. You never have to do that with him. So Matas is a very coachable player, right? And that's the thing that Billy Donovan and just about anybody that's talked about Matas Buzelis has said. He's a sponge. He's a very coachable player. And for what it's worth, this run that he's had while Josh Giddey is out has been basically exactly what I wanted to see from Matas. Step up into a larger role offensively. Step up and take on more of that. Now, he is a second-year player, and some of that there's going to come with some mistakes being made. And Matas definitely makes some mistakes, and Billy Donovan calls him out. Now, I do think sometimes some of the things that Billy says or judges Matas about are things he doesn't hold other players accountable to, which that's where my problem comes in at sometimes. But for what it's worth, I mean, Matas is averaging almost 15 points per game on 48% shooting from the field, 35% shooting from three. His rebounds have gone up almost 2 rebounds over last year. He's blocks, 1.5 blocks per game. At one point, he was averaging almost 2 blocks per game. That's since come down because with Jalen Smith on the court with him, he doesn't have to do as many blocks. But and then in the month of January, 17 points per game on 45% shooting from the field, 35% shooting from three, 5.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.7 blocks, and 1.6 turnovers per game. So I think that Matas is a player that he's still the player with the highest ceiling on the Chicago Bulls team. He's the young player with the highest ceiling on this team, and we haven't really had a young player that has lived up to as much as Matas Buzelis has. And I think when you listen to Billy Donovan talk, it just says that he knows how great Matas Buzelis can be. But Billy Donovan has also seen players like P. Will that had all the potential in the world that wasted it because they didn't respond to coaching well. So, I don't always agree with things that Billy Donovan says in respect to Matas Buzelis. I don't always agree with how he handles Matas Buzelis. But I will say this about Billy Donovan. I do think he sees the potential that we all see in Matas, and that he's trying to hold him accountable to the player that Matas can become. And there's something to be said about that's exactly what coaching should do, right? We just got to say, again, stopping the mid-range shots is stupid to me. That's always going to be stupid. You're never going to get me to agree and say that that's the best thing for Matas Buzelis is to not take mid-range shots. I'm not saying he needs to be DeMar DeRozan, but the mid-range shots are available. He should be taking a little bit more of them. But outside of that, I think call plays for Matas. When Josh Giddey comes back, Josh Giddey and Matas had a great chemistry at the start of the season. Build off of that even more. And then let's see what this kid can be, because if Matas ends up hitting that potential of what he can be, that's going to help this Bulls team get out of this mediocrity that we've been in for too long. So that's just my thought process. But let's talk about the game tonight. First update for the game tonight is Josh Giddey has been upgraded yet again to questionable for today. Keep in mind, he was upgraded from out to doubtful, and then after his practice with the Windy City Bulls, he's been upgraded to questionable. He played with the Windy City Bulls. He had a practice down there, no issues. He was immediately recalled back. So that's good. A good sign that he's going to return this week. They opened his return window, but it's either going to be today or it's going to be Thursday for Josh Giddey. If we can get Josh Giddey back on the court today for how the Clippers are playing, it's going to help this team. He's averaging 19.2 points per game, shooting the ball 46% from the field, 38% from three, and 76% from the free throw line, averaging 9 assists, 9 rebounds per game. There's just no doubt about it, right? When Josh Giddey is set, the Bulls have gone 4-8 in games where Josh Giddey is set this year. And when you look at it, they're 16-14 when he's on the court. So, there's no doubt that Josh Giddey helps the Chicago Bulls team win. The hamstring injury can be a bit tricky. It can be something that can be re-aggravated. But Josh Giddey helps our offense run. He helps create shots for players that can't create shots for themselves. And while Tre Jones has done an admirable job at it, I think that you need Josh Giddey out there to do it at the high level, right? So good updates for Josh Giddey. As far as there's been some updates for some other players as well. Patrick Williams, who was listed as doubtful for today's game, also got upgraded to questionable. So we'll see. But Patrick Williams hasn't really made an impact for the Bulls. And then Zach Collins is still going to be sidelined through the All-Star break. Billy Donovan announced, so you're not going to get Zach Collins back until mid-February. So there you go on that one. But this game tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers is a good one. The Clippers season started off really rough, and they've improved as the season has gone on. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games and 13-7 over the last 20 games, right? Kawhi Leonard has been back playing like the player that you really want to see Kawhi Leonard play with as long as he's healthy. He's been playing pretty well for this Clippers team. And the Clippers offense has been elite over the last 20 games. They have the 6th best offensive rating in basketball over the last 20 games and the 11th best defensive rating. They're number 1 in true shooting percentage, 5 in effective field goal shooting percentage, but they do have holes on their team. They're 25th in assist percentage. They don't pass the ball a lot. They get into a lot of individual offense. They're also 22nd in turnover percentage, meaning that they don't pass the ball a lot, but they still turn it over a lot. So this is where the Bulls can use that to their advantage to get into transition, get out and run like they like to do, those type of things. Another thing, they're the 24th rebounding team in the league, 30th on defensive rebounds. So the Bulls, that opens up more offensive rebounding opportunities for the Bulls, and they're 24th in offensive rebounds. So if the Bulls attack the glass on both sides of the ball, they can absolutely take advantage of this Clippers team. It allows them to get out into their offense quicker. It allows them to be the team that they like to be, those type of things. So if the Bulls come into this one prepared to do those things, they can win this game. We have to limit turnovers because they do have a high steal percentage. Use our depth as we always have in wins that we get, is use that depth to our advantage. If the Bulls play connectively today, they dig in defensively, they have to stay communicative defensively. This is why I want Jalen Smith to stay on the court even when Josh Giddey. I would love our starting line to be Josh Giddey, Coby White, Matas Buzelis, Jalen Smith, Nikola Vucevic. That's, I think, what the starting lineup should be. I don't think Billy Donovan is going to actually do it, but that's just where I'm at with that with it at this point in time. I would love to see that point. We'll see what they do. But if the Bulls play sound offensively and defensively in this game, they can win this game. This is a winnable game, even with how good the Clippers are winning, especially if Josh Giddey's on the court. We got to see if the Bulls are going to handle and take care of business, because that's always the question with this team. Are they going to do what they need to do? And if they do, they can get a win. But all right, Bulls fans, you tell me, if the Bulls make a move, what's the best asset to cash in on? Draft picks, Coby, Io, any other players, or should they just keep other players around and a minor retool? Let me know what you guys think on that. I want to hear your comments down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. And like I like to end every episode on, stay safe, go Bulls, and always see red if you can. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.